Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurial Leadership in the City. I'm Dr. Julie Fox with the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. I serve as OSU Extension's Director for Strategic Initiatives and Urban Engagement. This module can be used independently or to support those who participate in the Comprehensive Leadership in the City course. In this module, you will gain awareness of various entrepreneurial frameworks, knowledge on the linkage between entrepreneurship and leadership, and the ability to apply what you've learned in your current urban extension context. At Babson, they talk about how entrepreneurial literature and what we know about entrepreneurship and what we know about leadership and how those two things really come together, kind of like a puzzle piece. But they take it a step further to recognize the complexity of bringing the two together and look at it more like a quilt. In this module, you have this video to watch, some resources and projects to do online, and continuous learning options so that you can continue to apply what you learn in your practice. Why entrepreneurial leadership for urban extension? Well, we have increasingly diverse audiences and partners, new technologies that we can apply, changes in traditional funding. Most urban extension units have a very diverse funding portfolio, complex issues that we face, uncertain times, and multiple stakeholder agendas. Some cities have thousands of nonprofits, for example, and recognizing as we work with both public and private partners, how we can navigate those sometimes differing agendas. Really, this module brings together what we know about entrepreneurial theory and leadership, as well as urban extension practice. So entrepreneurship, looking back at the history a little bit, quick snapshot, it really has been looked at from various disciplines, from psychology and sociology to economics and management. If you look back at what the term actually means, that has French roots, to do something differently or to combine things in different ways. In the German sense, to undertake, to do something, take action on ideas. That entrepreneurship research focus can look specifically at individual traits for the person as the entrepreneur, as well as organizational factors that could apply to the complete organization or teams. So now that we shift to a focus on leadership, looking at current theories as well as future directions, various perspectives again, psychology, spirituality, cross-cultural, management, so you can see kind of those similar perspectives. When it comes to the leadership focus, again, there's an opportunity to look at individual traits and organizational factors with organizational entrepreneurship. So here's one study that looked at what characteristics might be in common for individuals from the entrepreneur lens and the leadership lens. And you can see things like risk taker or visionary, they both have in common, but those last two there on the bottom of this chart indicate that they don't necessarily have the same emphasis when looked at from the different lens, but there's a lot of crossover between the characteristics of an entrepreneur and a leader. So looking at those individual characteristics, you can also look at motivations, competencies, ways of thinking, and those kinds of factors when it comes to individual characteristics of an entrepreneur. There's one assessment that you can use. This is an entrepreneurial leadership questionnaire. It's kind of a modified use if you want to use this as an activity. The original intention is to get multiple perspectives, but in this case, go ahead and take the ratings. You actually rank each one or rate each one on importance and frequency, and just take a look at those factors and use it as an opportunity to see what some of those are, and just understand that if you wanted to take that further and gain additional insight and perspective, you could. So moving from individual to organizational entrepreneurship, there's a questionnaire that you can also use specifically for urban extension. And it's based on factors like proactiveness, innovation, risk-taking. Again, that risk-taking factor we see for individuals, we also see for organizational, but it's expressed differently. These are based on different studies rooted in entrepreneurial orientation, entrepreneurial management, and some other studies. Some people go beyond looking at the individual and organization and really look at an entrepreneurial process that begins with opportunity, then blends into innovation, strategy, and how it's operationalized in the context of change and continuous learning for the individual as well as for the organization. So just recognize that we all have different assumptions about what it really means to be entrepreneurial, and that's okay. I think there's plenty of opportunity to learn from the varying perspectives. This is another one that looks at leadership as a function of circumstance based on demographics, technology, social mores, and others. So if you want to look more at that, this resources is part of your module online. Entrepreneurial leadership in public organizations is a little bit different than in private for-profit organizations, but there's plenty of research now supporting the work of public organizations and organizations like ours. We do focus on vision and opportunity, have the ability to convince and empower others, forge new, powerfully productive linkages at the intersection of business, government, education, and community. Doesn't that sound like urban extension? Driven by multiple constituencies, profit as a means and not as an end. And I have this actually bolded because I think that's key. That sometimes it's called cost recovery and extension. Sometimes it's our diversified funding portfolio. But the idea of generating revenue and even generating a profit is as a means and not as an end, as it sometimes is with for-profit organizations. I acknowledge there are obstacles to entrepreneurship in public and social context. That could be our university policies and procedures, some restrictions that we have with hiring personnel and those reward limitations. So the value is in acknowledging those obstacles and see how we can work within our system and really express our entrepreneurial leadership as individuals and as an organization. Recognize that each of your roles as you watch this module and get engaged in some of the activities, you're coming to this with a different title, different role, different experiences that you have, and that's okay. As you look at that, your role may change over time. So as you learn more about entrepreneurial leadership and what that means for you in your role, maybe you're looking at just leading yourself now, leading others in programs and projects, or leading the organization. And some of those competencies will change over time. There's additional information for those participating in Leadership in the City course that move beyond your role to look at competencies, experiences, traits, and drivers, and developing those things over time. So in this web-based module, there's the introduction, your learning objectives. You can access all of these resources online. If you'd like to take that entrepreneurial leadership questionnaire, it's linked there for you to learn more about. There's studies if you want to learn more about how that was developed. And then from the organizational perspective, there's a questionnaire specifically for organizational entrepreneurship and extension. And then if you are working with others, there's this guided discussion to talk more about what you've learned through the module, and maybe even get engaged in communicating in different ways about what you've learned. And then some continuous learning through a journal, through a mentor, coach, or sponsor, and just to distinguish when learning about entrepreneurial leadership or anything else. If you work with a mentor, that's somebody who really has the experience to draw upon, and they can provide observation and feedback and guidance for you. A coach could be a little bit different in that they are working with you on goals and actions and accountability of your performance. And some of you may also work with a sponsor who helps you gain access to and leverage different resources. So opportunities for you to have continuous learning through independent study and journaling, mentoring and coaching, and some self-paced activities geared toward entrepreneurial leadership. There are a vast amount of resources available for you, multimedia resources based on entrepreneurial leadership, teams, organization, and social entrepreneurship, like we talked about in public organizations, as well as some other things that address specifically you as an entrepreneurial leader. We began the session by talking about how the two puzzle pieces come together for entrepreneurship and leadership, how more complex it is based on the the quilting thought. And as we move to the future, it's more important than ever that extensions stay relevant. And these are a couple of images. One is the augmented reality puzzles for kids, and the other one is the Back Black application, actually a hologram. And so as we think about the complexity of urban extension, we look forward to continuing to learn together and grow together. A lot of people are really scared of failure. In contrast, entrepreneurs are scared of regret. Appreciate you participating in this learning module and look forward to hearing more. Take care. Bye now.